So yesterday in the Senate, we had Dr. Fauci as well as others testifying. Today, we've got Dr. Rick Bright. That is the whistleblower that has been raising concerns about the government response and lack of response over coronavirus. And we had an idea of what he was going to say, but actually, thankfully, for when we're shooting, we have a bit of his video as well. So here is an ominous warning.
Without better planning, 2020 could be the darkest winter in modern history. First and foremost, we need to be truthful with the American people. Americans deserve the truth. The truth must be based on science. We have the world's greatest scientists. Let us lead. Let us speak without fear of retribution. We must listen. Each of us can and must do our part now. On Tuesday, Dr. Fauci delivered a message in a voice that is clear and trustworthy as he encouraged us to act with caution as we return to our daily lives. We should listen to him and other scientists sharing their expertise.
So that seemed very reasonable. Now, look, he's saying we need to listen to the experts. We need to defer to them where possible. Obviously, we're not just going to do anything they say. But, when he's also saying that theoretically, if we don't, we could face the darkest winter in modern history, that it's a dark winter we're looking forward to. And it looks like it's going to be a dark day of testimony as well.
It's pretty ominous. And one of the most striking things that he said there was, let us be able to speak freely without fear of retribution. So he's the personification of that, right? I mean, he's somebody who is going out and speaking freely now, but there's got to be some sort of fear of retribution there, because he is going against an administration, not just an administration, but an administration that we know what they do to their enemies, and we know that it's an election year and it could get even uglier. So as ominous as the winter could be, it may be a difficult fall also for Rick Bright and for the way that the administration and the candidate handled this crisis as well.
Exactly. And as we're filming this, I've only seen excerpts of a few of the people who are asking questions, but I know that one, I believe it was Mullins, a Republican, perhaps you can confirm that, was used his time to ask him about whether he was really as sick as he said he is, that he's on some sort of medical leave. But is it or do you really need to be? I mean, you can testify, so are you really that sick that you can't work? So honing in on the most important possible thing at this particular time.
Yeah, I mean, that's the line of questioning, right? Let's rip into the validity of this testimony and this person who's going against the White House. But I will say there is, and I would say it's a real trickle. I don't even want to exaggerate it as a trickle, but there is now a taste of distancing from the administration on the part of some Republicans. I've noticed it with Senate candidates. And maybe as these numbers, as we've said all along, as these numbers continue to fall for the president in certain places, that it's going to be easier for them to do that. Markwayne Mullins, not where it's going to start in Oklahoma. But I will say, though, that for the most part, people are asking questions that matter. But again, they're going to try and discredit this guy.
Yeah. And also, if you are watching this video right now, you saw that clip of Dr. Bright that we just played for you. And that means that now, if that's all that you've seen almost as much of his testimony as people watching Fox News, because they played it for a couple of minutes and then they cut away to have a conversation about the need to bring back Major League Baseball. And
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
It is amazing. I think they might have lasted between 4 and 5 minutes, so I'm exaggerating a little bit. But that's not even the opening. That's not even the full opening remarks there. And we shouldn't be surprised, because what this guy is going to say is going to be critical, and they have no interest in that whatsoever. And they certainly don't want their audience to be exposed to it.
Right. And that's, that's par for the course. And that's exactly, they are the mouthpiece for the administration. We know that. I mean, we're not breaking any news here with it, but when you're reminded of it in that way, I mean, there's not much else on right now, right? I mean, this is Senate testimony, and people who follow politics are drooling for that. A news network is drooling for that. And there isn't baseball happening right now. So it's an amazing thing.
Yeah, it certainly is. And so, look, I mentioned the fact that Fox isn't going to show it to people, but that's also consistent with their programming recently because Media Matters, you can head over, has an analysis of their coverage of coronavirus, which I believe it's the last 2-week period, has fallen 20% from 2 weeks prior and 40% from the peak. So they're just not talking about it nearly as much. They've almost lost half of their coronavirus coverage on a daily basis because it's not serious anymore. I mean, you only have a couple of thousand people dying every day. Why would you devote time to covering that? You got to talk about Obamagate.
Let's talk about Obamagate, right? Let's focus on what everybody wants to hear about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is a numbness to the news on coronavirus, right? It's bad news, it's constant, it doesn't change, and we're stuck at home, right? So I think that's sort of human nature to want to depart from that and talk about baseball. I'll talk about baseball with you, but not while there's somebody testifying about the administration's approach to coronavirus and the ominous facts about the ominous predictions about what lies ahead for the nation when over 80,000 people are dead because of this. So the just discounting it. I'd love to know, in a serious way, I'd love to hear what the messages are like at Fox among the people deciding that we need to scale back. Is it as innocent? Of course it's not, but could it be innocent? Could it be totally agenda driven? And I'd love to know how that comes out more than anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we know that it leaked a couple days ago that Fox has sent messages to their employees saying they're extending the work from home order for Fox employees by another 30 days, which they should. That's responsible. You shouldn't be exposed to the virus just because you work at Fox. But it is fascinating to see show after show where hosts are saying, you need to get back out there. Your rights have been stripped away. And they're saying that in front of a green screen in their mansion in New York.
Right.
They could go back. They could go film. Yeah. They could demonstrate. And by the way, they would be very safe even if they did that. But they are understandably worried about catching a fatal illness, and so they understand that their audience is not going to realize that they're clearly being manipulated and lied to by hypocrites who are protecting themselves while saying that they should expose themselves to lethal damage or danger to potentially help the stock market, a stock market that the people doing the working aren't going to be invested in, or if they are, barely at all. But the people sitting at home and broadcasting on Fox have tons of money in it. So it's just disgusting. It's disgusting from top to bottom.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And, let's get a little bit more disgusting because with Dr. Bright testifying, we know that Trump's not a fan of him, in particular because Dr. Bright has talked about the fact that he cautioned everyone against hydroxychloroquine internally when that was being promoted heavily on a daily basis by the president. So not too shocked to find out that Trump met the Rick Bright testimony with this message saying, I don't know the so-called whistleblower Rick Bright, never met him or even heard of him, but to me he is a disgruntled employee, not liked or respected by people I spoke to, and who, with his attitude, should no longer be working for our government. So he polled a lot of people, pro and con, and figured out that they don't like Rick Bright. But also, it is funny that Rick Bright is currently saying that he is facing retaliation for disagreeing with the Trump administration. So he's going to have to sort of prove with whatever evidence he has that there is retaliation. And as he's testifying, Trump is like, he shouldn't be working for our government.
Right.
Just the most direct retaliation.
No, that's really true. Yeah. And also, he was right. I mean, he was right about the medicine. He was right about the posture of the administration. It's constant and it's upsetting. But the other side of it is yes, every whistleblower to some degree is a disgruntled employee. So I don't know that that's casting aspersions on Rick Bright either.
Yeah. Yeah. But look, so it's ridiculous, the attacks against him. From everything we know, he seems like he was just trying to be responsible. It's entirely possible that he's to some extent exaggerating the warnings that he gave. That is possible. People do that. But then let's find out. Let's have the communications released and all of that. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.